What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Opendoor. I want to talk about this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, key levels that you need to watch for, and where I realistically see things going. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off this upcoming week, we don't really have that much in data coming out, only because of the shutdown. A lot of the key ones, they're kind of on pause, right? So essentially, it is going to be a lot of Fed speakers, Powell included. So Powell is coming out Thursday morning. You do have the FOMC minutes Wednesday, roughly around 2 o'clock. And in reality, that's not going to be that big of a deal. Back in like 2024, yeah, that definitely was a market mover. This time around, it doesn't even budge one bit. So essentially, it is going to be more of a technical driven week unless some Fed speakers say something crazy or whatever else. Nothing crazy coming from companies unveiling their earnings. When it comes down to updates from the company, there hasn't really been anything over the weekend. Kaz posted this saying that they just updated their website, so that's pretty good. Not really a good reason to go out and buy Opendoor because of this, but you see a lot of people very optimistic. And even this individual did post this right here, just talking on some potential catalysts that could be coming that could cause Opendoor to go up to, as what they keep mentioning, $50 right here. So one is a increase in institutional investors. And I completely do agree with that. As institutions do pile in, if they see the fundamentals improving, then they'll kind of get in, add more stability to the actual stock price, and typically it will actually cause it to appreciate as well. This one right here, so new product solutions for buying, selling homes. I do agree that is going to help with the operational kind of side of the business, help with the fundamentals, and kind of refer back to this point right here. It'll kind of incentivize institutions to get in. Whether it takes it to $50 or not, I'm not really sure, but rate cuts. So potentially rate cuts for the upcoming meeting would be huge for Opendoor's business. Currently, there's about a 25 basis point cut expected for the upcoming October 29th meeting. For the December 10th, you do have a following 25 basis point cut planned. Potentially, if we do get some negative labor data from now up until pretty much a week prior to October the 29th, this is where you might see the market start to assume like a 50 basis point cut is on the table. But that would be a pretty good catalyst, so I definitely do agree with that. And then this one right here, I don't understand why people always throw this out there, and I'm not here to burst anyone's bubble. I feel like I'm very realistic, but a lot of people just instantly throw out buyback stock, which in theory would cause the stock price to move higher. But you have to realize, like, if the company is not profitable, where are they getting this money to cause it to go higher and to buy it back? It's just not on the table. In theory, maybe down the pipeline, once they are profitable, then yeah, buy back stock. That's kind of the next big thing to do. But I think this is very, very premature to start talking on. And it's not this kind of post right here isn't the first time I've seen individuals and big accounts, mind you, saying that Kaz needs to buy back stock. So I just don't understand that. But aside from that, I do tend to agree with all the other points. So those are some pretty good catalysts, and all of them in theory would cause the stock price to go higher and really be a good deterrent against shorts. So going into this upcoming week, 20.3% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 143.93 million shares overall are being shorted. If Opendoor is able to get above and stay above some key levels, this is where I do feel shorts will naturally return back to probably around that 15 to 17% range. So that could be a pretty good thing that might happen over the next couple of weeks. Again, a lot of people are also out there screaming for a short squeeze. And I feel like a lot of people just say that for the hell of it. In reality, I think a short squeeze would be very exciting. It would cause a very nice push higher, but those are very short-lived. So yes, Opendoor might go to, let's say, 20, 30 or whatever dollars, but it probably would just get dragged back down. That's just kind of the bad truth of the squeezes that people do not want to tell you. So in reality, I think shorts returning on a slow scale is much better rather than a short squeeze. So again, that's just my own interpretation. You guys do whatever floats your boat. Like I've said in the past, I'm not here to convert you to buy, to sell. All I'm doing is going over my true thoughts on what could positively impact Opendoor, some of the data points and everything else. So aside from that, looking at the options, you do see a certain level of optimism from Friday. So that's always a good thing. From a bull standpoint, you do see a consensus for it to be for this upcoming week, roughly around 950 to 10. So definitely a lot of upside is anticipated, somewhat matching with the Elliott Wave technicals, which right now is projecting for it to be kind of between that 1127 and 1273 in the short term. So that's definitely a very good positive. Aside from that, the bears are anticipating for it to be sub roughly 750 to 8. For the most part for this upcoming week. As I mentioned on my video on Friday, you have some pretty good open interest. You have 35,000 at the 8, 8,000 at the 750, 12,000 at the 7, and so forth and so forth. You didn't really see that much in very large after hours transactions on Friday. So it is fair to assume that market makers didn't cover. So you might see a little bit of a bump up potentially come Monday, not a full-on blown gamma squeeze, but you definitely could see some abnormal transactions, so just be aware of that. But going back over here with it at 811, it is currently trading between this R1 and the pivot. So 765 is going to be a strong support. You really want to watch for that to hold throughout the week. Wasn't really tested on Friday, so that's kind of a good thing. But the next real point to watch for is that 1023. If you're able to get above that in the early part of the week, either Monday or Tuesday, then essentially you'll see that Elliott Wave Technicals prediction come to fruition. And then it's just a hop, skip, and a jump away from that 1183 and then 1441 and so forth. So yeah, let me know your general thoughts on that. I am looking at the one-day chart, so these are very strong support and resistance points. When I go over kind of Opendoor in my day-to-day type of videos, I go over more of the 4-hour because that's a little bit more tight-knit, but if you are looking to dollar cost average, swing trade, you can orient a lot of your buys and sells based on a lot of these kind of points. Aside from all that though, on the actual chart, so because of Friday's nice push, it did get above that 10-day moving average briefly. It did close slightly near the tail end of the day below it though. So 819, that's going to be a key point to really watch for it to get above. So that's going to be that 10-day moving average. If it can get above there and close above there, that's more important than anything, is closing above it, then you'll see a nice push higher. That means momentum will be building. And as I've mentioned, to me at least, Opendoor is a very big momentum play. So at the end of the day, it is just consolidating slowly, but it has failed to really close above that 10-day moving average for the most part since it looks like September the 19th. So momentum has been slowly going down despite a lot of good catalysts. So at the end of the day, on a technical standpoint, just kind of watch for that. Looking at the market position, comparing it from like Friday and Thursday, you see a little bit of kind of action from the sellers, but nothing overly crazy in my opinion. So it is going to be a little bit of a battle. And I think generally Opendoor is still having some level of like a struggle, self-struggle. So you have a lot of individuals saying that this is going to 80, 20, like $100 all over the place. Some people are really looking at the fundamentals and watching Kaz on what he is actually doing. So I think personally Kaz is doing a fairly good job all in all, despite some speculative things as I've kind of brought up in the past, but I do feel that he is going to really turn this company around. But moral of the story is you do need catalysts. And one of those things that I did bring up earlier, like whether it be a rate cut or just a good catalyst, fundamentals, just improving operational updates, that all is going to really push institutions to buy more and more Opendoor and really cause it to go higher. Because for right now, it is still a momentum play. So you need a lot of kind of like, hey, look at me, this type of action. So I think Kaz and Eric do need to step up that a little bit more. So do more and more interviews and things along those lines. But at the end of the day, I think that it is going to be a fairly volatile week, but ultimately we will be closing higher above this R1, so above that 1023. So let me know your general thoughts on Opendoor. I know I kind of talked about a lot of different topics, and that's only because Opendoor right now, it's not just one situation. There's a lot of different kind of scenarios playing out, and honestly, I think Opendoor can be really studied going down the pipeline as a very psychological stock, because you have individuals initially thinking it's a meme, now a cult, now it's a fundamental type of play, then it's a momentum. It's literally all over the place, and it's kind of crazy. But as I mentioned, I think that Kaz is the right individual for the job, and his presence on social media is kind of giving Elon vibes a little bit, but with a hint of just passion. So let me know your general thoughts on Opendoor. Where do you see things going this upcoming week? Do you think it's going to be above 10? Do you think we're going to consolidate and fully break down below this S1? To be fully honest, if we do fail to really get above that 10-day moving average, momentum is slowly just going to diminish, and most likely we will test this pivot point or even below that. So you do need some good catalysts to come out. So yeah, let me know your general thoughts on Opendoor. Hopefully everyone's having an amazing weekend. One final thing, if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, pop over to my Patreon and put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.